It seems that there is way more to the story regarding Michael Langley and his comments about Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traoré last week. There has been actions that have gone under my radar that I'm just coming to discover now, which I'm going to share with you. These actions are documented. Sadly, it's far darker than anything that I expected, and I personally made a big underestimation of their actions. And in this video, I'm going to reveal exactly what the United States have been doing in regard to the AES, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Ibrahim Traoré, which goes way beyond the words that got everyone riled up last week. If you're interested in understanding exactly what Michael Langley has actually been up to regarding these countries, stay tuned. For those of you who don't know, my name is TJ. I'm Nigerian and British mixed. I grew up mostly in the UK, but a couple of years ago, I decided to move to Uganda to start a new life with my partner, Medina. The channel started off just documenting my journey, but over time, the channel has evolved to me trying to understand why Africa has not reached its full potential and what can we do for Africa to actually realize its full potential. This is why I'm so interested in the story around Ibrahim Traoré, because it appears that Ibrahim Traoré is doing all he can to be a leader of the people. At the age of 37, he's become one of the most celebrated and popular leaders on the continent of Africa. What you're looking at here is a minibus in Kenya that has Ibrahim Traoré's image on the side. And I've seen a few stories now about how Africa-wide bus drivers are starting to paint his picture on their buses. This should give you an idea of just how popular he is. So just to quickly catch up with the story, last week, General Michael Langley of the United States publicly said this.
I can imagine a situation, though, in which the ruling elite of a country is receiving gratuities on the side in order to the benefit of the strongman leader, and not to the populace of the country.
Absolutely, Chairman. I see this, and I don't mind calling them out, but Captain Traoré and Burkina Faso, as they know that both, whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime.
And what ensued was a social media backlash amongst many Africans and Pan-Africans and diaspora across the world. I myself made a video explaining why this is a huge inaccuracy. It's a huge hypocrisy. And I listed everything that Ibrahim Traoré has been spending the Burkina Faso coffers on, which essentially resulted in the Burkina Faso GDP increasing over the time he's been in power. But what I didn't know, which is the revelation I'm explaining today, is that since Ibrahim Traoré has been in power, Langley has been visiting all of the surrounding nations of the AES. What this means is that militarily, strategically, the United States have surrounded the AES countries. One by one, he has been going and even making alliances with countries that America has had negative ties with, always in the guise of strengthening ties and increasing security in the Sahel region. The Sahel region is populated by Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Yes, it spreads beyond that, but if you're talking about the Sahel region, these are usually the main countries you're talking about. Since Ibrahim Traoré took over and kicked out the French, the British, and the Americans from the gold mining and other resource control that they had, Langley has not visited any of those countries. He comes out and says this public statement, which casts a light on his movements. So the countries surrounding the AES nations are Chad, Libya, Algeria, Mauritania, Senegal, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Equatorial Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria. And he's visited almost all of them. Don't believe me? I've got some receipts. Chad, January 2024, US forces returned to Chad, but with a different objective. You can see down here, this is September 2024. US Africa Command confirmed that a small contingent of American personnel remain in Chad supporting counterterrorism missions. You got a picture right here of Langley in Chad with their military. Libya, August 2024. Top US general meets with alleged war criminal in Libya. So the leadership there has been described as a war criminal. So why suddenly does America need to go there? It says down here, US Marine Corps General Michael Langley called on Haftar, the leader of the Libyan National Army. During a series of meetings, Haftar expressed his desire to expand security engagement with the US. These are strategic moves. He met up with him here again in Benghazi. Algeria. AFCOM commander signs memorandum of understanding with Algerian Ministry of National Defense. Look, there's a picture of him here in Algeria. And we've got two further occasions. So 2023, 2024, and 2025. We've got Mauritania. USA AFCOM commander and senior enlisted leader traveled to Mauritania. U.S. Marine Corps General Michael Langley, commander, traveled to Mauritania to meet civilian and military leaders to discuss security and cooperation. Senegal. U.S. Marine Corporal General Michael Langley visits Senegal, Algeria, and Ghana, February 2023. And here's a close-up of that picture. Nigeria. This is U.S. Marine Corps General Michael Langley, commander, enlisted leader, visited Nigeria, January 2024. Now, I can just go on down the list. Benin, Togo, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Liberia. The only places he hasn't visited are Guinea-Bissau, the Gambia, Equatorial Guinea, and Sierra Leone, which is actually a small landmass in terms of the border of the AES nations. The likelihood is that the US can do things like put drones in all of these countries that they visited. They can do surveillance, and if they wanted to do any interventions, they can do so. They can pick and choose militarily what actions they may or may support in the area. One of the potential destabilizing tactics that could be used is that the US creates this very tight border, making it very uncomfortable for the extremist jihadist groups. So then they're forced to reside within the borders of the AES. And that's where the majority of the havoc happens. And then they can point to the AES leaders like Ibrahim Traoré and say, this guy doesn't have control of his country. Terrorism has increased since these guys have been put in charge. Means that there's more destabilization, more opportunities to try and turn and twist the sentiment against these leaders, particularly when terrorist attacks happen. When I first heard Langley on that Senate meeting talking about Burkina Faso, I was thinking it's something that they're going to do moving forward, like there's going to be actions happening moving forward. It turns out that they've been very active on ground already for the past 2 years, which is very worrying. You can't underestimate the military and the mind of the United States. They are very smart. They're very good at what they do. We as Africans would just like to see them not involved in any meddling. But we as Africans, I think, all know that America is only interested in relationships with Africa based on their own interests.
Are there success stories for the citizens of African countries when these larger, more prosperous nations or companies from more prosperous areas come in and exploit these minerals? What I'm asking is, does it ever redound to the benefit of the citizens there in Africa?
It is never based on helping the people on ground, no matter what they tell us, no matter how concerned they seem to appear about the everyday African on ground. Right now, there's growing concern for the safety of Ibrahim Traoré, and I, for one, will be personally devastated if anything happens to this guy. Just in case you think it is without foundation that some of us think that it is a possibility that Ibrahim Traoré could be assassinated. There's already been 18 attempts on his life, including an attempt that happened just last week. And unfortunately, there is precedent set for the United States to be involved directly or indirectly in African leader assassinations. We only have to look at the three following examples of Thomas Sankara, who the US never publicly acknowledged involvement in the assassination, but there is plenty of evidence suggesting indirect complicity. Then you've got Kwame Nkrumah. Declassified documents and historical accounts confirm CIA involvement. And then you've got Patrice Lumumba, who it is now confirmed through declassified documents that Eisenhower authorized his assassination. This is a tweet from Walter Meyer, who said, in Burkina Faso, civilians sleep at every roundabout at night just to protect their president. Will you ever do that for your president? If you don't know, Wodemaya is probably the biggest YouTuber in Africa, and he is currently spreading the word about the AES nations.
I just want to educate you all. This is the AES passport. I mean, the baby that came out of ECOWAS. So this is for 3 countries: Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. I want to introduce you all to the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Your Excellency, it's a pleasure meeting you. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm the first Ghanaian to get this passport. But I want to say thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate it.
And this is something that certain groups are actually terrified of. The youth of Africa are showing overwhelming support for the AES. For example, right now in Nigeria, there's a lot going on social media about how disgruntled the youths are, about cost of living crisis, the expense of food. The only place that they seem to be talking about hope from is outside of their nation, regarding AES and Burkina Faso. This should be troubling for a country like Nigeria, who are the main power in the region and have met with Langley and openly condemned the AES when they broke off from ECOWAS and formed their own alliance. You have to wonder, whoever comes after Tinubu is likely going to have to say they come out in support of Ibrahim Traoré and the AES leaders. This allows an opportunity for a leader to shift the dynamics of power in that region. Ghana has already shown many steps around how they're supporting the AES countries. And who knows if this could be the tide that starts to really shift things in the area. And what we hope is that America can just keep their noses out of this business and allow Africa to forge its own future based off its own decisions, allowing its people to support the leaders by which they see fit without outside interference. However, with this circumnavigation pincer move that we're seeing America has done in the last 2 years, and the absolute wealth of abundant resources in the AES countries, the likelihood that they will not get involved is looking very low. Now, I'm sure you have much to say about this situation. Please leave any comments in the comments section. But if you have nothing to say, would it be too much for me to ask you to write the words African sovereignty in the comments section? It just lets me know that you've watched the video to the end, you like what I'm doing, and you want me to continue. Thank you so much for watching the video. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.